back.
We're truly back.
Love it.
With a little bit of a break.
Yeah. So we had, I guess we needed to rejig some of the stuff with the podcast over the last few weeks. But we are now back and better than ever, I guess
Hopefully,
we should say.
and hopefully the set looks a little bit even better. We've made some changes. We've got some updates. So you're going to see a lot more content from us coming over the next while. So we're excited. So what do we got today? What are we talking about?
So we're going to be talking about the new CMHC underwriting benchmarks.
Yes.
And sounds boring.
It's not if you're in it, and I know it's
not
exciting.
if you're in the weeds.
So what, high level, before we get into it, why do you think they did it?
Oh, good question.
That one
didn't have enough coffee for that one. So a couple theories, and I'm very curious to what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in the current environment with the market the way it is, we're seeing a lot of these previous funded CMHC deals underwater.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure there's many different reasons why they did this, but I believe personally one of them is they want to start tightening up on underwriting guidelines.
Yep.
Be a little bit more scrutinous with these deals when they're coming through, not giving so much LTV, trying to build a bit more of a buffer because we're seeing these rental rates continue to decline. We're seeing taxes to continue to increase. Inflation is running rampant, on all these things. So I believe it was just kind of a tighten up, right? Yeah. Let's look at it. Let's make sure that we're readjusting here. But I think that comes in backlash from all these CMHC funded deals that are going into default right now.
Well said. There's a lot.
Dave, give me your 2 cents.
Completely agree. Look, you nailed it. Again, humble opinion, but the market is changing. Most of the deals are going to CMHC, right? So they're trying to tighten things up. And where do you start? This is a good example, right? So the benchmark operating costs of a building are always increasing. Yeah. So we need to capture that. What's interesting is how it was running before seemed pretty accurate. Like it was a good framework.
I was just going to go there. And just before we dive into that, I do want to take one step back and just explain what the CMHC benchmark underwriting actually is.
Yeah.
For any of our viewers that are new to this podcast or new to CMHC underwriting. So why don't you just kind of give us a
so if you're underwriting a deal and the hope and vision is you're going to go to CMHC, get the CMHC insurance, which will give you more palatable lending, what CMHC will give you is benchmarks. So things like cost for grass cutting and snow removal, general framework, replacement reserve for things like appliances, general repairs and maintenance as a general framework.
And why would someone use that over actual bills? Right? Why have underwriting guidelines?
It's a very good standard to use to help you sort of future predict where things are going. So if we buy a brand new building, the repairs and maintenance the actual bills are going to be very low. But in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, they're going to be increasing. So it's a really good framework under which to sort of future cast how to deal with upcoming expenses.
Yeah, and I look at it as it kind of balances out the highs and the lows, right? As you put it, gives you a nice kind of baseline of where to underwrite. We see a lot of the time on the sell side, my point of view here, why I like it, is we'll see, sellers that are maybe not the best operators. Maybe they're operating the building themselves. And we look at these R&M numbers, repairs and maintenance, R&M, and they're through the roof. Even for what the building is, they're absolutely through the roof. And we're talking to the owners, we go, what's going on here? Right? And they go, well, we just hire the first guy. We don't get quotes. We don't do this. We don't do that. Right? Point. And so we're looking at buildings where they have, 15, 20% higher R&M than what the baseline is. So that actually helps us because the baseline would assume, let's say a third-party management company comes in and takes it over. That should truly be your R&M. That's a great point. Unless there's major CapEx, but then that's not R&M. That's something completely separate. So
and certainly on the buy side, it's a way to standardize the numbers, right? So having not seen this building, what's a framework that we can use to actually use as the filter to figure out, are we on, are we off? And that actually helps with a buyer agent and a seller agent because we can sort of go back and forth and debate. And if I'm using these numbers, it's pretty hard as the selling agent to come back at me to say, well, those are ridiculous.
Right.
It's kind of an industry standard, so
Right.
it's not.
Right.
Pretty standard. So
Amazing. Okay, so
Let's
we've
jump
kind of
in.
covered what it is.
Yep.
Why we use it. So let's talk about what's been changed,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we can talk a little bit about what the old ones are and now what we're looking at on the new ones.
Yeah, so kind of a cool little sheet here. Effectively, what we have is what the previous charges were, what the new charges are, and what the changes between the two, so the delta, the gap. First one is repairs and maintenance on a wood frame building. It was 830 PUPA, which is per unit per annum, for anyone that is not aware. The jump goes from 830 to 940, so $110 per unit per year difference. So may not seem like a huge jump, but again, all of these are sort of little tweaks as we move forward, and especially as you start to encourage yourself into larger buildings, you see quite a difference. So kind of under the same context here, repairs and maintenance with concrete, including elevator, $975 per unit per annum. Now it's $1,090, so a difference of $115. Okay, management fee. So to hire a management company, the baseline minimum. So what CMHC will do, we'll use the higher of whatever their minimum is, because some people will self-manage.
Yep.
In which case CMHC says, fantastic, good for you. We're still going to put in a charge for that. So the minimum right now before was 4.25%. Now it's 4.5%.
Yeah.
And EGI is effective gross income.
Right.
Okay.
And I'll just pause you there.
Yeah,
Because
we're
that's an
jumping through
interesting
quick.
one, right?
Yeah.
Like the management's always the one that I had a bit of a challenge with because I go 4.25. Like who's truly getting 4.25 on management here?
Nobody, not if you're hiring management. You're not
No.
getting a lot for that.
No. So
Usual would be what would you say?
depends on the building size, but I'd say 5 minimum.
Minimum. And that's a
Right.
key market.
And that's like downtown Toronto, 50 plus units.
And you're not getting the full model
No,
suite.
that's the a la carte model, right? Like,
yeah. I chose, just as a side, I chose that on one of my buildings in Windsor, a 22 unit, wanted the cheap and cheerful, as they say. And then I get looking at the monthly expense and I'm going, they charge me $50 to bring cardboard to the street.
Yeah.
Jake, the street is from like you to me. Like they're just tossing cardboard.
Called
charging
a la
me
carte,
yeah,
baby.
yeah, and that's what happens, right? Like you're paying one way or the other. So, but agreed. Like, we underwrite typically 6.
yeah.
Some cases, if it's secondary market, 7%. And again, it's gross income, the gross income number that comes in. Okay.
Let's
So
keep ripping through that there.
yeah, so that one's been a 25 basis point change. Concrete is unchanged, kept it the same. So it's 4.25. So salaries, which is grass cutting and snow removal, on a wood frame, that's $555, jumped to $610. So a change of $55 per unit per year. Concrete, the jump is $70. So it was $700, now it's $770.
So let me ask you, Dave,
Oh, I'm not going to have the answer, but go for it.
why the heck is grass cutting and snow removal going up between a concrete and a
I knew you were
wood
going to.
frame building?
Okay, this is a complete shot in the dark. I feel like you know it. Is it because typically the concrete's going to get larger? Is that why?
I actually don't have the
Oh
answer.
my
No.
gosh, what a
So
great question.
I know why the R&M is higher. I know, right? Because you're looking at which again, it's an interesting metric because you have stick frame construction, right? It's wood building, and they tend to have. And again, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Don't quote me on it, but the stick frame tend to have more issues. From my experience, sagging walls, the
Long term.
Yeah,
I agree.
Even the new stuff, like every stick building I go into, there's movement on the wood frame, right? So the drywall cracks in the summer, and then it closes up in the winter. My house does that, like it's just natural. And my thought has always been, well, if something does go wrong with a stick frame, it's easier to fix, right? You can cut a hole in the wall,
Right.
you can fix the wood, you can cover it up with drywall again and move on. Where the reason concrete's always higher is because it's harder to fix concrete.
Got it.
Yes, less things will go wrong with concrete, but when they do go wrong, it's a bigger challenge to fix.
It's
right?
interesting too, because if you go through a same size building and it's concrete, it's a tank.
Oh,
You genuinely feel
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it makes you, you would almost instinctually think those two are reversed.
It's the other way around.
But
right?
I guess to your point, like the cost to remediate some type of concrete issue can be extremely. And these are averages, right? These are the sort of law of averages. You
Correct.
get those outliers that are very high. But
I just wanted to throw you under the bus.
But the
there. I know you
salaries, I
didn't
don't
have the
know. Like
answer.
it's a great
Well,
question.
salaries is more than just landscaping and snow removal, right?
Fair.
So salaries is going
Fair.
to be hallway cleaning,
Yeah.
the carpet cleaning, right? Like all the little things in the building that is actually one of my favorite numbers that is in there because a lot of people forget those things, right?
Almost always, yeah.
Nobody puts a line for hallway cleaning in there, and it's like, hey, that's still an expense you got to cover.
I feel like cleaning hallways is the same. There's something in salaries that I'm just not aware of that's an encapsulating value in there. That's probably the difference between concrete and wood.
Right.
And I don't know. There's probably some mortgage guy or CMHC guy out here, and put some comments in the section.
Love it. Yeah.
That's a good one. And then we've got replacement reserve, 300 a month to 315.
And what's replacement reserve?
That's like elevators, things like that. That's what they've got noted. So yeah,
Right on.
15. Other costs standardized. It says varied, and it's 1% of. So other costs would be what? What do you have there?
For other costs?
Yeah.
Banking fees, leasing charges, admin, et cetera,
Yeah.
right?
And that's one.
Accounting fees for the corp, like whatever, like little things at the end of the day.
Catch-all, which is funny. It said it used to be varied. We just always did 1%.
Yeah.
So that's really no difference on our sheet. So we, it's been interesting right now in the market, just a little anecdotal story, because some people haven't adjusted to it. So as you sort of, on the buy side, we're bringing offers and people are saying, no, you need to be at X value. And I'm saying, well, let's dive into that a little bit because it does make a difference.
That goes back to the whole cap rate conversation, right? It's two parties can be arguing the exact same cap rate, but still be $1 million apart. It's
one of the things Jake and I laugh about all the time is you get a call and, hey, we'd be interested at 6 cap. Like, well, let's dive into. Let's get back to, hey, I'll buy it at $5 million.
Yes.
Right? It makes our lives a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as soon as somebody calls me and starts with a cap rate, that's when I get a little concerned, right?
You got to get the formula.
Let's back it up there. Yeah. Okay, Dave. So now going back all the way to the beginning of the podcast here, now I want to dive into that question that you had because everybody's understanding of what the numbers are now. So knowing the market, and to your point, looking at the previous numbers and looking at actual data, they were always pretty accurate. Yeah. Like I would say, like almost 100% of the time. That's how those buildings were operating.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I guess your question was going to be, why change it? Right.
Yeah.
Like because it's accurate. And I don't have the answer for that. I'm actually just genuinely curious. Yeah. Like I know why we said we thought they changed it, but like, what do you think the outcome is? And
it's like, you got to do these things in increments anyways, right? So they're doing changes. It feels like I think they're doing them every June with like a week's notice. But first of all, they're in a position where there's no shortage of stuff going to CMHC. So if anything, their whole job is hit the brakes a little bit. I think that's important. Inflation's going crazy. The cost to run and manage these buildings is certainly going up. And it's a key thing when we go through the buyer sheet to go and show people. The whole vision as I go through the sheet isn't to say, Jake, this is exactly what you can expect from your net operating income every year. Mm-hmm. What we're actually trying to do is give you a framework to say, it's almost certainly not going to be worse than this, barring some catastrophe we're unaware of. So that's the way you buy these deals, right? Make sure you have everything in there. And it's probably like, look, you're getting insurance to make sure that you're going to pay the loan. And if you don't, that their insurance is going to kick in. Mm. So the whole framework isn't, when they're doing car insurance, they're not trying to exactly predict if Jake's going to get in an accident. They're using statistics and analytics to say, we're probably safe to fund here if on the law of averages, this many default. And as defaults go up, premiums go up. So we've seen premiums rise, and now you're seeing the underwriting get a little thicker.
So I guess we can dive a little bit deeper then. Do you feel with CMHC getting tighter on their underwriting, increasing the underwriting, are we going to see people going conventional financing more?
We are starting to see that.
The reason I'm saying this is because we just had a meeting with one of our mortgage brokers we use, and now, and I haven't seen him do it in a long time, but he's actually using a CMHC underwriting next to a conventional underwriting and giving you both the options now, because actually the conventional is not that far off what the CMHC was. And that used to be a huge delta. Now that's
you wouldn't even talk about it sometimes. You say it's an option, but you're not worth it. And I know in that meeting, I don't know about you, but it's sort of up and they're doing a comparison. And I was like, that's shocking in that particular circumstance, not always the case. The lack of difference between, like, there wasn't a huge.
Well, I think it was like a 10-year CMHC was like $64,000 cash flow.
Right.
A 5-year CMHC was like 50-something thousand cash flow, and then a conventional 5-year was like 47-something thousand cash flow.
Yeah.
Right. Photographic memory.
That was pretty good. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. But it was to your point. Yeah, we're seeing a lot more of it. Some deals, they just don't make sense that way. Some people's capital requirements are such that CMHC is the only option, right? And that's totally fine. It doesn't mean it's not right. It just means that as CMHC becomes more difficult to get or more expensive and you get less of a loan, the competing options become more valuable, more palatable. And we're seeing that. And so
like I'm looking at it from my side of it, which is the listing side, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, okay, well, if the CMHC underwriting now is going to make my building worth less because the underwriting guidelines have increased, which means my NOI is less. It's applied to the same cap rate, but now my building's worth less. So why wouldn't I just underwrite it for conventional financing? Right. And I'm saying this because I know these are the conversations sellers are going to start having with me. Hey, Jake, these numbers keep going up. Like, look at my actual operations versus the CMHC operations now. If they're not relatively in line, why would we use the CMHC underwriting? Right?
In the end, like, I had this debate with a listing agent. I'm using the new, he's using the old, and we're sort of going back and forth. And honestly, to some degree, it really doesn't matter. Yeah. What matters is what the market's going to pay for it. How you get to is kind of your own personal decision. So he was saying, in the end, he goes, oh, I agree. I agree that makes sense because it is the new guidelines. It's going to sell for X. Right. Very confident. Right. And to be honest, I don't disagree. I had to posture and do my job. But in the end, I'm going, yeah, he's not wrong. Because the market hasn't adjusted too much. So,
and that's the thing, right? Like, at the end of the day, it's bring the offers, show the seller 3-4 options and say, okay,
pick one and
this is what the market's going to bear. We brought it to everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll, I know we got to wrap this up, but the sheet's definitely available. If you guys want to have a deeper conversation to this, and then the one plug for mortgage brokers, very helpful to be dealing with the men and women who actually do multifamily, because these guys and gals are ahead of the curve and showing things like, here's conventional, here's CMHC, 5-year, 10-year, what's the best option. So happy to connect you guys. But if you have any questions, reach out and love to continue the conversation.
Yeah, subscribe, click the bell. Give us some comments, guys. If you want to know more about this sheet, if you want a copy of this, we can send it to you. Just throw it in the comments, send us a note. And then there's always the insider list, right? So access to off-market listings, anything we have. We just pumped 2-3 listings out there this week, or last week, I should say. Yeah. And we had some great responses, right? It was good to connect with a lot of the viewers and whatnot. They were
and some of these off-markets are becoming, the fast way to get deals done. So stuff is going kind of almost back anecdotally to off-market. So make sure you're subscribed because we want to get those out to you for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks for sticking around.